Thank you to the sponsor for this video, Keen. Visit trykeen.com/Nadiya to get your first 10 minutes for only $1.99 with one of their trusted advisors. I too had a chance to try Keen when I was approached to have them as a sponsor. I loved my reading, and I only recommend services I trust. Visit trykeen.com/Nadiya to get your first 10 minutes for only $1.99. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of June 12th, 2022. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. We have one special event, and we have another, I think, more remarkable, more phenomenal event. So I'm actually going to start with what I think makes this week that much more special. And it is a triple conjunction. Venus, the North Node, and Pallas Athena are going to gather together in the sky on Thursday. Now, whenever it is that a planet moves over the North Node, I always like to pay attention to that for a few reasons. So one reason is collectively, it does speak to our collective understanding as to the direction in which we desire to go. The direction in which perhaps we are learning to understand greater love, greater wisdom. But there's another layer of understanding here, of course, which is the personal. And in our own lives, it is when the North Node is activated, the transiting North Node is activated by a transiting planet. That is when new people, places, things, situations have the potential to enter that represent karmic blessings. Now, it's not always what you think, and I think that's absolutely the case with this triple conjunction now. And the reason I say that is because if we just focused in on the fact that Venus was conjunct the North Node, we would say, okay, this is love, this is prosperity coming in, lifting us in some way. But we've got here the goddess of wisdom, Athena, also hand in hand with Venus on that North Node. And the fact that the goddess of love and the goddess of wisdom are here together does suggest that this is about more than just immediate pleasure or opportunities to experience a flush of joy or prosperity even. But rather, there is some understanding as to how whatever's happening now can actually connect us to a larger wisdom. There's an understanding of how to be strategic in this moment to help us to maximize the potential, whether that potential is romantic love or self-love. But there's something else that's happening, and that is the fact that Saturn is going to square this configuration. The fact that Saturn is speaking to this configuration with tension does suggest that we are very mindful of our own power. We are very mindful of how it is and where it is perhaps that we may need to be patient, even if it's hard. You know, I'm very much of the belief that delays are not denials, and fulfillment isn't always exactly what we think it's going to be. And very often it can be something even better. Now, reaching that place of being able to trust that whatever may come in its right time is going to be better, well, that's what faith is for. And with a week like this, faith may feel hard. Faith may feel challenging. And yet it can be rewarded. Trusting that good things can show up for us can be challenging, and yet it can also be fulfilling when we see the pathway through to fruition. And so what suggests that faith may wane at a time like this? Well, it is on Thursday as well that we have got the sun, on the one hand, square Neptune, and also trine Saturn. So that square to Neptune, that is a conversation of tension. And that is one that can feel rather insecure. But Saturn, speaking in supreme harmony with the sun, that does suggest that we see how by being patient, being diligent, having a clarity as to what's worth sacrificing for and what isn't can get us to where it is that we desire to go. Can get us to that place of opening karmic blessings, or at the very least being willing to recognize them even if they aren't so obvious right away. Now, there's something else I wanted to mention here, and this is actually based on social media and the things that people have been asking me about and talking to me about, and that is, of course, what's happening with inflation and the economy and the stock market and things like that. And all of this is very Taurian. All of this falls under the energy of Taurus. And what I would invite you to remember with that is Uranus. Uranus is right now halfway through its journey through the sign of Taurus. We started feeling this energy in 2018. We will feel this energy right into 2026. And it is over the course of this time that things like the economy and the world economy aren't necessarily going to feel as stable. Where it comes to new economies, new technologies, like, for example, cryptocurrency, these will be especially volatile over the course of this period of time. But we're also coming to understand prosperity differently as a collective. Now, I know right now it can just feel like it's random and it doesn't make a lot of sense. I do really like this energy of the North Node Venus and Pallas Athena meeting in the sign of Taurus. I think this ultimately will help us to see some of the wisdom that could be playing out. And it really is about elevating our values, elevating our priorities, helping us to understand individually what's worth the money and what isn't worth the money. And the role that just understanding money itself, like how are we going to conceptualize it and where are we going to place it in our lives? This is a part of a journey that all of us are on individually. But I also want to add the future of what could be, where it comes to the economy, is going to start to show itself at the end of July and beginning of August. That is going to be a very important moment to watch. And that is because we are going to have Mars and Uranus and the North Node conjunct. These are very different energies than Venus, Athena, and the North Node conjunct. And yet, it's all happening in the sign of Taurus. And so what this suggests to me is that all of us as a collective are being invited to look at what we spend our money on, how we earn our money. We're being invited to look at the possessions that we have. How much value are we going to give to them? What are they really worth? What do they symbolize for us? We're invited to look at whether or not how we earn our money is truly rewarding. You know, I recently did attend the NORWAC conference. I want to say hi to all the incredible people that I met there and got to hug. It was wonderful being back in live events again. I love that live events are coming back. And it was so interesting to be there, because one of the first things that I was told when I arrived at the hotel, because, you know, any journey is not about what you think, right? It's not about the destination. It's not about what you think or have planned. It's about all the other stuff and how it changes you and how it invites you to expand your mind and expand your horizons. And so one of the first things I learned was that the hotel was very short-staffed. And it was short-staffed because they are hiring, but people aren't coming in. They don't want to work the jobs. And I thought about how this connects to the Great Resignation. And so the Great Resignation has been a phenomenon that really accelerated over the last 2 years. And over the course of this period of time, people decided that they wanted work that was rewarding. They wanted to be in work environments where they felt supported, where they felt that they could grow. And they didn't want to just do what was in front of them to do to survive. That people have this collective desire now, more and more we're seeing it, where we want to move out of just survival mode and into a space where we are having a depth of appreciation as to what is worth doing, how we want to spend a life. Because however it is that we create prosperity for ourselves, very often is how we spend the majority of our day. And how we spend the majority of our day ends up being how we end up spending the majority of our lives. And to me, all of this symbolically is very connected to Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Just like Uranus in Aries brought with it new technologies that allowed people to be their more independent and entrepreneurial self, We saw entrepreneurship just go through the roof. We saw mini empires popping up all over the place. That trend continues. And so now what we're seeing is people wanting to redefine what prosperity means to them, their understanding of how they go about earning money, and what they're going to root their own sense of self-love and self-value in. To evolve that understanding. Now, ultimately, I'm not saying, and I hope that people aren't going to start saying this is good or this is bad or passing value judgments on it. Whatever social trends and cultural trends may be happening, there can be positives. There can be ways in which they expand opportunities for some, where some people feel that there is that sense of progress, and also expand the sense, especially right now with a full moon in Sagittarius, which I haven't even started talking about. But the full moon in Sagittarius is an energy of the world and of borders and dissolving borders, of realizing that we live on a smaller planet than ever before in human history, meaning that more people have access to more of the planet than ever before in human history. Well, my hope is that all of these shifts and changes that are happening increase our understanding of a world that is smaller and smaller. And I do think that the full moon in Sagittarius is going to help with that. And I'll get to the full moon in Sag in just a moment. But let me say, in the context of this week, I feel like this focus on how we can not just improve, but evolve our understanding of the economy and what that's going to mean. I think that is going to be part of the energy that finds us in the second part of the week. Needing to be measured, needing to be prudent with that Saturn square is going to be part of it. But taking a perspective of wisdom and of heart is going to be part of it as well, as part of helping all of us to understand how to navigate this time. Uranus in Taurus can feel like a roller coaster, economically speaking. And yet it can also be at this time that we get really clear as part of our own personal journeys what we actually value. And we may find that the things we value have nothing to do with what's material, has nothing to do with the superficial. Certainly, if Uranus is anything, it is a break from the superficial. It is seeing beyond the superficial, seeing the light, the clear light of lightning, which is what Uranus represents. That flash, that understanding. Well, all of us are more open to that flash and that understanding than ever before. And where it is we're letting heart and love and wisdom lead the way, well, with a week like this, that pathway towards that light clarifying things can feel that much more quick, but also that much more clear as well, that much more accelerated as well. And so let's talk about that full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. So the full moon is going to square Neptune, which means that the full moon is setting up a T-square. The sun is across the sky from the moon. That's what a full moon is. And then you've got Neptune on one side. And so if the full moon squares Neptune, so does the sun. The perfection of the sun and Neptune square will happen just 2 days later. To me, this is fascinating because to me, this is on the one hand about that full moon in Sag. And so again, this idea of dissolving borders. How much are we going to dissolve borders? Saturn is in harmony to this full moon. And Saturn is in the sign of Uranus, having to do with the collective. So there's something strategic and smart about our understanding of our connection to each other as part of a larger collective, but also to other countries as well. And I do think matters having to do with what is international, like international relationships and relations, are likely going to come up at this point. And understanding that relationships have to happen, even where perhaps they haven't as much before. Where it is that relationships can be respected, where is it that certain relationships might dissolve? We may see some of that, especially on the world stage. So we're already starting to see more and more countries lift restrictions. More and more of the world is opening up, which means more and more contact. How do we do that strategically? Well, I think that's going to be part of the intention that we start to see laid out more and more under a sky like this. I know that I was just reading before I started recording about how it is expected that there is going to be a very busy summer in airports around the world. And I think that's very, very likely to kick up very quickly under energy like this of this particular full moon. There's another layer of understanding, of course, with that square to Neptune. There may be some fear around really opening up borders, and yet that strategy of the Saturn sextile will kick in. There is a focus on the economic benefit. I think that's going to be part of it. And that shows up with that triple conjunction of Venus, Athena, and the North Node. But it's square Saturn. And so, again, this idea of some hesitance of needing to be smart. I would add the other layer as well. As much as this energy can speak to the collective, and of course, everything follows perfectly after the other, I want to add there's a personal layer to what I'm sharing here, of course. And the more personal layer is that Venus will square Saturn at the end of the week. Saturn is squaring that triple configuration. And so a lot of us in our own lives may be having these reality check moments where it comes to where we are in love or in money. The reality check moments are also going to be related to the fact that Athena is square Saturn. And so it's almost like we're having a check-in with ourselves as to the wisdom that we have, and are we using it? Are we demonstrating the wisdom that we hold or not? Is it showing up in our real life lived experience or not? Because chances are we won't be able to get away with denying what it is that we know very deeply within, where it comes to a level of wisdom. We won't be able to get away with denying what it is that our hearts are telling us about what we value and about what we authentically love. This is about acknowledging the sacrifices that we've made, the sacrifices that are worth it, and the sacrifices that perhaps have gone as far as they're meant to go, and we're not meant to go any further. Some of this is going to come down to decision through our own understanding, but the North Node is involved, and a lot of the understanding we have now is going to be karmic. Again, that means its time has come. It means that our soul is ready to acknowledge where it is that certain pathways have gone as far as they are meant to. Now, I want to also be straightforward about the fact that this can be challenging, this can be hard, having to look at the reality of a situation where perhaps we invested a whole lot of ourselves on that level of heart, or maybe we invested a lot of our love or a lot of our money. The situation may be related to a romantic situation. And so it makes it especially hard to admit to ourselves where something has gone as far as it's meant to. And yet it can also be really empowering to look at things honestly and to look at things from a place of love. With the North Node involved, it also suggests that we understand that as part of our pathway towards greater love and greater wisdom, as part of our pathway forward in this lifetime, so that we could do even more of all the things that we were created to do in this lifetime, that finding acceptance and reaching the turning point on offer now is a part of the journey and is a part of the process. Along the way, we are facing some fears. That fear is showing up with the Sun square Neptune. That fear shows up with Saturn squares as well. And yet, in looking at them, we are empowered. If it were just Neptune, I would say, look, we feel it, but the answers aren't there. Because Saturn is there, it does suggest that we are feeling a whole lot of things. We're feeling our insecurity. We're feeling our sadness. But then Saturn is there reminding us that we still have ourselves, we still have our integrity, we still have our larger connection. Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius after all. And that we can find a way forward. For some people, this energy is going to show up really practically. For others, it's going to be more a part of a personal journey. And yet the outcome is the same. With Saturn, the outcome is always that patience is rewarded, that integrity is worth the effort, and that self-respect comes by keeping promises to ourselves and acting from that place. And that is part of the potential at a time like this. Now, the other big energy I wanted to be sure to talk to you about has to do with Mercury. And so we've been in a larger Mercury retrograde season going all the way back to the second half of April. Well, now here we are at another important turning point. This is the last full week that Mercury will be in shadow. Early next week, Mercury will leave shadow and we will be good and done with this larger Mercury retrograde season. And so now, as we start this week, Mercury is at the very end of the sign of Taurus, and on Monday will cross the threshold for the third and final time, meaning that we'll move between Taurus and Gemini. In this case, move back into the sign of Gemini. And this marks an important moment where the energy shifts. It goes from what we've been feeling, what we've been sensing, the energy and the ideas that have been sitting within us, and now reach mind, reach words, reach clarity. Mercury is very strong in the sign of Gemini. Mercury is at home in the sign of Gemini. And so this understanding of being able to flow with words becomes that much more easy. And so we have here energy that was mirrored back on the 29th of April and the 22nd of May. Those were the last 2 days that we had Mercury move over this point of 0° Gemini. And as Mercury steps back into the sign of Gemini, what happens now is going to bring, in some cases, very surprising clarity to what was taking place for us way back these earlier dates I just gave you. It'll take it a step further, a deeper clarity, but also, there's that word again, a deeper wisdom as well. In fact, I would say wisdom is very much at the forefront. Each sign has its own correlation to its own type of wisdom, its own depth of understanding. The wisdom of Taurus is found in the senses. The wisdom of Gemini is found in ideas, is found in the mind. And so now here we are. We're invited to talk out the things that we've been feeling. We're invited to reach a new understanding, if only for ourselves. But we're also invited to be open to synchronicities. And so synchronicity is being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right person, and it just makes all the difference. And it is now that through random interactions, we might find ourselves having clarity in an instant as to what took place back in late April, back in the later part of May. We will see it differently, but we can be assured more clearly than before. And that may be part of the dip of energy we end up leading ourselves towards, that dip of energy because of Neptune squared the sun. Neptune squared the sun in the middle of the week also says we are facing disappointment. A full moon squared the sun. There is that sense of disappointment that we feel. And yet at the same time, we are clear. We are clear about what forward looks like for us. And with all that Saturn, we are also clear about what self-respect looks like for us, what raising our standards looks like for us. And raising our standards has nothing to do with being materialistic. That's not what I'm talking about at all. It has to do with how you see yourself and what you believe about yourself. And raising that really does change everything around you. Remember, with a week like this, our fear can be strong. That's the thing with Neptune squares. But at the same time, what is real, what is practical, the steps we're willing to take one after the other, what we are demonstrating to ourselves, the maturity we show, the commitment to ourselves in the long haul. These are the things that give us strength, that help us to navigate this time. And these are the things that expand our own sense of self-value in ways that will stay with us for a very long time to come. Now, finally, I want to close with some myth, because you know how much I love mythology, right? I think that it really helps us to understand these core energies of the planets, which is ultimately core energies of ourselves. Both Venus and Athena were born fully grown. And I think that's very interesting symbolism to consider now. Venus was born of Uranus, a planet, a god representing freedom and unpredictability. Love and freedom are intimately tied. I actually explored this in one of my books called Prayers to the Sky. But Pallas Athena was also born fully formed as well. And so let's talk about these myths. It was Gaia and Uranus that were married. Uranus wasn't a very good husband. Gaia wasn't happy. She goes to her kids and asks her kids to help her out. They all say no, 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 until she gets to Saturn. Saturn, her son, with Uranus. And she says to Saturn, help me out. If you get rid of your dad, you'll be the big dog god out here in ancient Greece. So Saturn says, okay, I'm going to help you out, Mom. And so Uranus is sleeping. Saturn goes, takes a sickle and removes the testicles of Uranus, takes those testicles and throws them into the sea. As soon as those testicles hit the sea, foam begins. And from that foam arises Venus. Venus is of the loins of freedom, the goddess of love, and love itself is intimately tied to the very essence, the very core, the very seed of what freedom is. You cannot have love without freedom being a part of it, because if there is not freedom, it isn't love. It cannot be love. But love is such a strong force that when it meets freedom, it flourishes in a way that is awe-inspiring and beautiful. Now let's talk about Athena. And so Athena's dad is Jupiter. Jupiter really got around. He liked to have a lot of different loves, enjoyed the company of others, mortal and divine. And so one of his loves was Métis. And Métis was a sort of an oracle, if you will. So she was, constantly telling Jupiter what was going to happen. And Jupiter got kind of tired of it. He didn't really like it so much. So he decided to consume Métis, like push her down inside of himself. But she kept insisting on being heard. She kept talking to him. And he could hear her voice inside of his head over and over, growing louder and louder. And so Jupiter keeps hearing this voice, this intuitive voice, and he's not wanting to listen to it, and it's giving him such a headache. His headache grows and grows until he just can't take it anymore. He goes to Hephaestus and says, help me out here. And Hephaestus takes an axe and cracks open the skull of Jupiter, and out pops Pallas Athena, fully grown as her own person, as her own woman. And as Pallas Athena comes forward, she becomes a symbol of wisdom. She becomes a symbol of rising above one's own base instincts and being strategic as you move through life. Yes, she's a symbol of competitiveness, but she also goes on to become somebody who's very helpful to heroes or anybody who has a battle to overcome. And so I shared these myths with you because both of these strong and important figures, right, in Greek mythology. Athena, after all, is patron of Athens. Athens is named after Athena, the city of Athens. These two incredibly influential figures in Greek mythology, both were born fully grown, complete, independent knowing themselves. Venus fully connected to her own sense of worthiness, to attract what it is that she wants in life, to know that she's worthy of experiencing joy and, yes, peace and love onto herself. And Athena being born ready as royalty, knowing herself as royalty, holding and carrying herself as such, knowing that she was there and what she held could assist others, that her intelligence, that her wisdom, her ability to be strategic and insightful helped so many overcome so many challenges. It is the stuff of legends. And so, as we gaze upon this very powerful symbol now, the goddess of love and the goddess of wisdom, together with the North Node, a point that represents not only our unique journey towards greater love and greater wisdom, our collective journey towards greater love and greater wisdom, but it also speaks to our understanding of where it is that the time has come. I feel like many of us are going to be embracing these symbols in our own journey, embracing these parts of ourselves, because that's what these ancient deities are. They are a part of whom it is we are, the journey that we walk. We are an expression of them. And so where is it now that perhaps as part of your karmic journey towards greater love and greater wisdom, you are ready to embrace an understanding of your own worthiness, knowing that you are worthy to be loved as you are, and you are worthy of your own love, that you can be in that and sit in that and be at peace in that love. And also, how much is it that you are now ready to embrace your own wisdom, to see value in your life, to recognize your own power and to exercise it with strategy and precisely, knowing that your actions matter, knowing that your life matters, knowing that you're able to use your life to in some way help other people, not just better themselves, but to overcome their own battles as part of creating stories that inspire all of humanity. You alone are enough. You alone right now as you are have that wisdom. And you alone right now as you are worthy of all the love in the world. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys. And to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I am so grateful for you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month. With choose your membership rate. Now, higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Link is in the description below. I look forward to meeting you there. YouTube for astrologers at the world-renowned Kepler College. I am so proud of my association with them. And it is only once a year in the summer that I teach this very special business class. Now, it isn't just for astrologers and it isn't just for YouTube, but it is about helping you, whether you have your own business or you want to go on that entrepreneurial journey, helping you to start strong or to strengthen the foundation that you have. And so whether it is that you want to engage social media or understand the more business side of it, wherever it is that you want to strengthen a spiritually based business, offering spiritual services, well, this class is for you. Now, I did want to share previous students, and if you are one of the previous students of this class, I would love to hear from you as well. But I know over the years I've gotten incredible feedback. So many students have said how much this course helped them to put them on the path towards creating a rewarding and especially spiritually rewarding and prosperous business for them. And so this is where I take you through so many layers of understanding, everything from creating the right chart to start your business, looking at your own chart to understand how to market yourself, looking at what it takes to create a video or to create social media posts and giving you loving feedback on that. And then we have fully 2 classes dedicated to understanding the financial part to creating a successful entrepreneurial endeavor. Now, I have been a full-time astrologer for since 2006, almost 16 years now. I've learned a lot along the way. I'm very grateful for all the lessons. I've shared before, the first 7 years of my business, I lived below the poverty line in Canada. My mom doesn't like me sharing that, but that's the truth. And I am really, really hoping that what I impart to you means that you don't have to do that as well. I think I feel very grateful for all that I've learned and all that I have to share. And it is really this class that is the only business class I teach each and every year. Now, a big part of this is mentorship. So you really get to have that mentorship with me. You get my personal feedback. You get assignments every week. They are, of course, optional, but as you complete those optional assignments, you get my feedback, my direct feedback at that. And a part of it is also the encouragement that we get by creating that small group together. And so space is extremely limited. This class is expected to sell out without a doubt. It does every single year. It fills up. And so if you have wanted that sign, that prod, that lets you know that perhaps a spiritually oriented entrepreneurial endeavor is for you, well, maybe this class will be part of putting you on that path towards really understanding the different ways in which you can create that business and how to make it a prosperous business as well. So I hope that you will check it out. As I said, it is at the world-renowned KEPLER College. There really is nothing like KEPLER College in the world, and I am so proud of my affiliation with them and my connection with them and being on their faculty. It is one of those great prides of my career to be a part of their very special faculty. So I hope that you will check that out. Link is in the description below. Remember, space is extremely limited. This is all with Kepler. Kepler is the one who does the intake where you register, and I show up and I teach, and they have their own platform where you submit assignments and you interact with each other as part of creating a really supportive group, and you get that mentorship from me as well. So there's so much that I'll be teaching. It's a very expansive course, and link is in the description below at keplercollege.org. I look forward to meeting you in class. Synchronicity University has some incredible events coming up this summer in July. Well, we have an incredible speaker series. And as we start this week, we have just a little over 2 weeks left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, to learn from these world-class speakers that I hope you will check out. We have the one and only Christopher Renstrom. Christopher Renstrom is a world-renowned astrologer, big dog astrologer, and he's going to be teaching on Chiron. My friend Christina Divina is going to be teaching on Neptune. Now, she did an interview with me, which should be published at some point this week, and you can see how she's so connected to Neptune and how Neptune can be so hard to contain. So I think it's going to be such a valuable class that she is going to help us to understand this symbol. My friend Clarissa Dolphin is going to be teaching on the South Node. She brings so much energy, so much insight, helping us to understand the South Node differently. There's so much emphasis placed on the North Node. I know I place a lot of emphasis on the North Node as well. So I think it'll be really refreshing to get her take on the South Node from a vibrational astrology perspective. We are going to have Janae Anthony. Janae Anthony is going to be teaching on sex in the astrology chart. Now, she actually did this mini class that's available now on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, where she went through the different planets in helping us to understand their association with sexual expression. I absolutely loved that interview. I think you'll get so much out of watching it. So I will be sure to link to it below, or you can just navigate to my YouTube channel and check that out. And finally, we have Alexis Duong. Now, Alexis is going to teach on the more philosophical side, like how is it that we can be astrologers and stay positive when we know that there's a lot of stuff out there that maybe doesn't feel so positive, doesn't feel so easy, doesn't feel so good. That's going to be part of what she is going to be exploring with us. And I think that's going to be so rewarding as well. So I hope that you will check out this one-of-a-kind summer school project, which is the July speaker series at Synchronicity University. Sign up now for a very limited time left. You can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class. Link is in the description below. Synchronicity University presents the one and only Marc Laurenson. He is a big dog Australian astrologer of the Sydney Astrology School, and I'm so proud to have this caliber of astrologer teaching at synchronicityuniversity.com. Well, it is going to be Marc that teaches about the soul's mission in the birth chart. I have no doubt that this is going to be a class that so many of you get so much out of. Now, speaking of interviews, his interview actually posted recently on my channel as well. And in that interview, he goes through the sun, through the houses, and how to understand that energy from a soul perspective. So you really get to see how insightful he is, how brilliant he is in that mini lesson he provided in the interview that we did. Every time I talk to Marc Laurenson, I come away a better astrologer. I come away understanding my own placements in my chart differently. And he's going to bring such layers of understanding that I am sure so many people are going to come away after each class feeling that they are a better astrologer. Now, Marc Laurenson never teaches at $5 a class. He just never does that. He's doing that for us at Synchronicity University, and I'm so grateful for his generosity of time and spirit. But yes, you can choose your tuition rate for a little over 2 weeks left to go with that. And as low as just $5 a class to learn from Marc Laurenson really is an unheard of rate. So this is the soul's mission in the birth chart by the one and only Marc Laurenson. And it is so thorough, and he is a brilliant teacher, world-renowned astrologer. This is an opportunity not to miss. So check out Marc Laurenson. Link is in the description below, or go to synchronicityuniversity.com. And thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. I want to remind you, I do have a bunch of books, like 5 books that you can buy on Amazon now. You can learn more about them at synchronicitypublications.com. And so one of the books I mentioned, Prayers to the Sky, is like astrological magic light. Another book of mine, The Universe is Wise and Loving. You can see all my books back there. The Universe is Wise and Loving. Well, that is about the nodes of the moon in astrology. The Body and the Cosmos takes the ideas of Plato and applies them to an astrological zodiac and includes meditations for each sign. I have Astrology Realized, which is a foundational text to understanding how to read a birth chart, but also it takes you through the historical development of astrology, how it went from this very predictive practice that was only for kings and queens to what it is today, this tool of understanding ourselves more deeply. And my final book, my most recent book, is Mayan Astrology, that I wrote with my friend Nadiya Robles, who is a world-renowned expert on Mayan astrology. Well, all these books are available on Amazon, or check out synchronicitypublications.com. Now, all the links are in the description below. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again to everybody at NORWAC who welcomed me. Thank you for the hugs. Thank you for the love. Thank you guys for all the love that you've been showing me on social media as well. It's been amazing watching my TikTok grow. In the span of about 2 or 3 weeks, I've got like over 500 or 600 people on TikTok, which is really like starting again, but really it's so much fun. And also, of course, on Instagram Reels. Thank you to everybody who's been giving me so much encouragement and support for the shorts and the little videos that I've been creating. They've been a whole lot of fun, so I hope that you've been enjoying them. And of course, for sticking around and watching this video every single week as well, these more expanded videos. I saw another creator, not an astrologer, who was talking about the difference between YouTube and TikTok and stuff. And she was saying how when you're on YouTube, it's like you as the audience, it's like you're hanging out with me, right? So you really feel like you're hanging out with somebody. I'm your girl, I'm your friend, I'm your sister, and we are talking, right? And so I really feel like you get to know this side of me. And that can feel so rewarding to me. And so I love this connection that we have on TikTok and Instagram and Reels and all of that. It's just a little bit of a bite, right? It's just a little bit of information that I hope helps you to feel connected to the planets, expands your mind in some way, or at least gives you something to smile at as well, gives you a heads up on the aspects that are happening that day in particular. And so that's how I focus those little videos. And so with those little videos, yeah, it isn't necessarily like with YouTube, it's a different thing, but both are really rewarding. Both are really fun. So thank you to those of you who join me, whether you join me on one or the other or everywhere. To each and every one of you, I thank you. Thank you so much for your trust and for your love. And thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive videoscopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there.